How do I F26 explain to my boyfriend, M29, that he's not exactly a catch? My partner and I have been dating for 3 years. We live separately but close by each other. His apartment is significantly smaller than mine, as I have roommates, but it's also so much grosser that even though we get privacy I hate being there. We have many talks and tears about this and things change for a few days but then nothing. His reasoning is that he means to but gets overwhelmed and it's hard to start and then hard to keep up with. He can't explain it much either. He thinks he's lazy and beats himself up about it and gets depressed and then can't clean and the cycle continues. He refuses my help BC. He thinks he should be able to do this on his own. But he can't. He literally can't. For the record, he has what I think to be undiagnosed ADHD and depression. He doesn't sweep up the cat litter so that entire hallway is crunchy. I don't think he owns a mop. I only just got him into regularly taking out the garbage. He leaves his dishes crusted for days/weeks depending on how often he uses them. When he does need to use something, it's only then that he'll clean it until the next time it needs to be used. Which means no clean dishes ever. His apartment building is infested and run down to begin with, which isn't his fault, but how he keeps his apartment attracts them to his place more. Constantly has a fly swatter at the ready to kill things crawling across the coffee table. Won't get rid of anything ever, even though his complex has a giant garbage and recycling center. That old Amazon box from summer, you have to climb over it to get inside the apartment. His clothes stay on the ground except work clothes. He shakes them off and puts them on. Doesn't wash his sheets until it gets to the point where I refuse to get in them, then washes the sheet but doesn't think to wash the pillowcases, blankets, etc. Both of his sinks are out of working order. That's just the main things. He presents a very good front-facing image, keeps himself clean, has a good job etc. So the wool was pulled over my eyes for the first while. Now I have no excuses. I know exactly how unclean his lifestyle/environment really is, and it's such a turn off. He knows that I refuse to move in or move further in our relationship until he gets this under control. BC I refuse to take on the emotional and physical toll of cleaning up after him, or doing the thinking for him and having to tell him exactly what to do, how to do it etc. I have been coming over less to the point of almost not at all, and he knows and it hurts him so he tries, but there has been almost no significant changes. I watch work him versus home him and I waffle back and forth on if he chooses to be this way or if he has mental health issues. It was starting to affect his work before COVID locked everything down as well, so now the divide is blurring. I'll spare you the he's so awesome, our relationship is great spiel BC. It's hard to justify how good everything is against how gross his apartment is. It's baffling. I've asked him to look around and name things to clean and he just doesn't see the levels of it. Like, okay, gotta take out the garbage, but doesn't see that the liquid spill coming from the garbage needs to get wiped up and disinfected. It's so confusing. How the fuck did I come to this? Edit. I've had a few responses which have still helped me to understand why I posted all this in the first place. I am no longer on the fence on if my partner has mental health issues. He does. Saying that, he has had a counseling session in the last week and hopes to continue with it when he's back at work soon, and to see a regular doctor as well. A surprise, I told him about this post and he admitted his new therapist agreed with me. He was afraid to tell me that his therapist also thinks he has mental health issues but can't confirm until more sessions are done. We are still together but have agreed to take a break until he's regularly in therapy and significant changes has been made, including moving. And I won't be coming over anymore. In the meantime, we have a working list of cleaning tasks he needs to accomplish as well. Thank you everyone! Exclamation mark. Final edit. I sincerely appreciate the bevy of responses and the fact that so many of you resonate strongly with my partner. For those who are pissy at me, I'm sorry that my train of thought wasn't as clear to you as to some. Yes, I started with saying he wasn't a catch, so to speak, out of frustration and resentment and straight up confusion. BC his actions didn't mirror my boyfriend. It was like dating two separate people, one who had his life together and one who couldn't manage basic tasks. I couldn't get through to him that his gross habits reflected negatively on him, or so I thought. By the end of my first edit I realized he has genuine problems. We are addressing them, slowly, together. I'm going to stop responding to all posts, but I will post an update in a few months. Wish us well, thanks community 3. What you see is what you get. You can't explain this to him, he's not going to change his behavior if something doesn't force him to. If he's not a catch, it's time to release him. Exactly. Why even be with somebody you don't think is awesome? He's got issues and needs to see a doctor and therapist. This is such obvious mental health stuff, and it can be helped if he wants to get help. I can appreciate that you've given it a good shot, but I think that if I were in your shoes, I'd tell him one last time that he needs to get help and make some changes or you're out. Or just tell him that you'd like a 3 to 6 month break to give him time to focus on his health, and then you can revisit. You can't fix this, it's not your issue to fix. I'm sorry. So, he's not exactly a catch. That sounds like something that you have to consider yourself, rather than talking to him about it. And one option is to back way off, when it comes to your relationship, as he clearly has to figure out how to live safely before you can see him as a good long-term partner. Note that while it may seem like an ultimatum, but it's really more of a natural consequence, as there's simply no point in visiting his place if it's not okay for you. And you can't really talk about a future together when there's this big red elephant shitting in his apartment. Hopefully he'll actually do something significant to make things better, and if not, then you can't expect him to magically change in the future. If you ever live with this guy, one of the following is likely to happen. 1. You are going to live in a pigsty. 2. Your home will be clean, but you do all the housework. 3. Your home will be clean, and you share responsibility for the housework, but you will be in charge of keeping track of all the housework and nagging him to do his share. 4. Your home will be clean because you hire someone to clean it for you. Scenario 3 might not be possible, or be so unpleasant you give up and fall into 1 or 2. Scenario 4 is only an option if you have enough money. Yes, thank you for being so clear with your thoughts. I have also seen those options, which is why I refuse to move in until he addressed the problem, which I am seriously starting to believe is a significant mental health issue. Thanks. I, 23F, really like my coworkers. I like taking breaks with them at work and chatting for a few minutes, but I can't afford fancy coffee drinks or takeout lunches. They think I'm just cheap. How can I still have a friendly relationship with them without buying those two things? I am a single mom to twin 5-year-old boy-girl twins. I work a full-time job during the day and I waitress 4 nights a week. Their father is not on the picture, he couldn't be found to pay child support. My mother is pretty frail, so she lives with us too. I try to give my kids and my mother everything they need. I do live in low-income government housing and get some assistance. No hate, please. But money is always tight. I either bring a PB&J sandwich for lunch, or during the harder weeks I just go without lunch. My co-workers are mostly older than me and either have no kids or have husbands. On break they want to get drinks from Starbucks or order in lunch. I really can't afford to do either of those things. It's embarrassing because then one of them offers to pay for me and I don't want that because I couldn't pay it back. I wouldn't mind going to Starbucks and not having anything, but they just think I'm weird. They also do bowling and game nights, which they take turns hosting. I want to go to the game nights, but if they ask me to host I'd be embarrassed because of where I live is not the nicest. I try to make it decent, but it's kind of a rough place. How can I continue to be friends with my co-workers without looking like a complete weird person? When I was a first-year teacher I had zero money. Lunch for me every day was 2 slices of the cheapest bread and a slice of cheese. I would put it into the microwave to melt the cheese a little. The ladies I ate with never even noticed. I was talking to one about it years later and she said she just thought that was what I liked. If it were me, I would enjoy their company, go to Starbucks to hang out and just decline to get a drink. Laugh and talk and don't worry about not having a drink. Eat your lunch with them while they eat their takeout. No problem. Go to game night, But if you don't want to host, tell them up front that between the twins and your mom you can't host ever. Eventually these ladies will be your friends and you might feel comfortable letting them know that money is tight and that you work 2 jobs, and if they are friends worth having they will admire you, as I do, for working hard and not wasting money on unnecessary items so your family has what they need. Keep it up, mama, you have the drive and the strength to succeed. Can I buy you a Starbucks gift certificate? Maybe then you can A, go and have fun, and B, show them that you really wanna go and can't afford it. Smile. Maybe you can contribute some other way. And by contribute, I mean contribute to the friendship, not financially. You could make them cookies or something that shows them how much you enjoy their friendship, and then segue into, by the way, I would love to hang out with you guys more. My twins tie up my cash but I'm just happy to spend the time with you. Worth a shot. And even if you can't afford to make cookies you can still be their friend. Food insecurity is a thing, and opt should have food for lunch before cookies for coworkers. Friendship doesn't have to be equally reciprocated all the time. Give what time and energy you can and be as honest as you feel comfortable with them. It's fine to accept an offer for someone to buy something for you, it usually gives them satisfaction. Also, I go many places with friends and don't get anything but water, you just need to learn to be comfortable with it. As for the hosting thing, as long as you make things clean there is no problem. If they are going to ridicule you for being poor they aren't worth hanging out with. I agree with ordering water. As for the hosting thing, as long as you make things clean there is no problem. If they are going to ridicule you for being poor they aren't worth hanging out with. As someone who has lived in crappy places while my coworkers were in houses with backyards, I would have been incredibly embarrassed to invite them over. Remember, these aren't just random friends. These are social bonds inextricably tied to ops needed income. These aren't typical friendships, they're work situationships. Those are usually handled a bit differently. Honestly, when I was in a similar position I just learned to get over the stigma of saying I can't afford that. We all make choices to lead the life we want. For me, I was a poor kid at a relatively well-known private school. I didn't have the kind of throwaway money the others did. Made £10 a week and I would spend it on other things. I couldn't afford pizza or steak or gourmet burgers for lunch. I just got used to saying I can't afford that, but I'll come with and grab a drink. Rich kids aren't used to hearing that often, at least my friends weren't, but it wasn't ever a problem. Someone would usually offer to buy for me, but I would just say, oh that's sweet, but I'm cool, and stay firm on that. I'm still friends with these lovely people now. Is it possible to live a fulfilling life without having children? 20M. It is true that I'm probably at the very beginning of my adult life, but this thing really worries me going forward. I really do not want to have kids. I don't consider myself raised well, and I don't think I am capable of raising someone. Too often I see how people who can't be good parents have kids, and house kids don't have a good parenting experience and become bad parents as well. I don't want to contribute to this. I want to live a fulfilling life. If it's just a spiritual / legacy thing, I think I can handle it. It sure is. I'm 41F, no desire to have kids of my own, although I adore babies. So far I've forged a simple career in a very fulfilling industry, stood at the base of the world's tallest mountain, bought a house, petted doggos in 6 different countries, traveled most of my own country, Australia, danced on stage with a band at a festival, ticked off most of my concert bucket list, seen orcas in the wild, volunteer and do fundraising for an animal shelter, and on it goes. Feel like I have so much left to do, yet would be content with my life should I die tomorrow. There is such a big world out there with so many fresh and new experiences to have, places to go, people to meet. You're young, get out there and have fun, when it's safe in your area. Stupid COVID.